Hello guys, welcome. Episode 3 of Dragon Age Vows Vengeance recently released, and this one features our Dalish warden companion Davrin. He temporarily accompanies our heroes as their quest leads them to an underground cave where they investigate the cause of strange quakes and hopefully find out what Solus has been up to. So grab yourself a nice warm cup of tea and let's talk about Dragon Age Vows Vengeance Episode 3, A Deadly Descent. The start of the episode introduces us to a group of miners digging for something. The miners are exhausted and worried. It's not safe being down here so late. But the elf said, dig here. So they dig here. It doesn't take long before their work is interrupted by the attack of a mysterious creature. The miners run for their lives, but only poor Ollie makes it out alive. Nadia and Drayden have arrived in the Anderfels. They enter a tavern. Nadia questions the tavern guests in the hope of learning more information about Solus's whereabouts, while Drayden tries to find more information about the area from a pretty thick book they're reading, in order to find out why Solus might have come to this place. Eventually, Nadia learns that there have been strange quakes in the area as of late. The rest of the guests aren't very cooperative though, and Nadia isn't the best at making friends, so the rest of her attempts to get more information are in vain. That is, until Ollie approaches her. Ollie tells her Solus hired her and the rest of the miners for a job in the Deep Roads, though they were never told what they were supposed to look for. The area was forbidden, but the pay was too good to pass up. Solus disappeared right before the attack, and Ollie hasn't heard from him since. With that information, Ollie hands Nadia a map to their camp. Nadia and Drayden get ready to go, but one of the tavern guests, Herrig, stops them and threatens them because, according to him, Nadia made him lose his game of Wicked Grace when she distracted him with her questions. Before things get really bad though, Drayden knocks him out with their book, allowing them to leave the tavern and head out to find the camp. Not long after Nadia and Drayden have left, Herrig finds a wanted poster of Nadia. The words, "a large reward," interest him specifically, so he heads out to find a guard and forces Ollie to come with him so she can share the information on where Nadia and Drayden are headed to. At an outpost elsewhere in the Anderfels, Grey Wardens Davrin and Goff are having a conversation. Davrin complains about wasting his time here while there's a rumor going around about real griffins, but Goff reminds him that their duty as Grey Wardens dictates that they are here. Something is causing these quakes and storms and they have to find out what. Then Herrig approaches them and asks them if they've seen a guard. The Grey Wardens question him and he shows them the wanted poster. The Wardens aren't exactly interested at first and tell him to take his bounty to Ratcliffe, but then Ollie mentions Darkspawn. That changes the Wardens' minds. If there are Darkspawn around, they're gonna need to be dealt with, so they ask Ollie to lead the way. Cutting back to Nadia and Drayden, just as they're about to reach the camp, they get ambushed by a bunch of genlocks. Luckily, it didn't take Davrin and the others long to catch up to them, and they cut down the Darkspawn with little effort. After the Darkspawn are dealt with, Nadia explained what she's doing out here. She's looking for the one they call the Dreadwolf, and he is likely responsible for the anomalies that plague this land. The mention of the Dreadwolf prompts Davrin to take Nadia and Drayden into custody, and says he wants to take them to Weishaupt. If the Dreadwolf is involved, something bigger is going on, and the Wardens need to get to the bottom of it. After a while of Nadia protesting this, very loudly, the Wardens let her explain the whole story. Solus's ritual, Elios' fate, everything. They believe she is telling the truth, and unchain her and Drayden. Herrig, still only thinking about his reward, threatens to go to the Templars, so Nadia gives him a pouch of coin to get him to shut up and leave. Unfortunately for Herrig, he doesn't get far, as right after a sinkhole opens up beneath them and they all fall in. A few moments later, Nadia wakes up to the voice of Drayden calling her name, as well as some strange, distant whispers. When her mind clears, she realizes they are now in a cave underground. Drayden, Ollie, and Davrin are okay, but they find Goff with his leg stuck under a boulder. The group tries to move the boulder, but it's too heavy. The only solution now is to lose the leg. They give Goff some snail root to chew on, something to numb the pain. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, Nadia screams out in pain as she is once again stricken by an intense ringing in her mind. It passes after a few moments, but as soon as Nadia has recovered, they are attacked by a group of giant spiders. The group tries to fight them off, but there's too many, and poor Ollie is taken away. Our group is forced to flee and leave Goff behind. They find a crevice just wide enough for them to squeeze through. Once on the other side, Davrin collapses the entrance so the spiders can't follow. The three of them are now standing in a cave, walls full of lyrium, a tunnel on one side and an elven mosaic on the other. The veil is thin here. We should be careful. Upon taking a closer look at the mosaic, Drayden notices an inscription. It's an ancient elven dialect, Davrin says. Guide me on the path that splits the land between sun and moon. The mosaic consists of two parts. The bottom half is upside down and depicts wolf statues and figures pointing at the stars. The top half is made of onyx, and its mirror-like surface allows them to see their own reflection in it. Through following clues, Drayden figures out that some of the tiles can be pressed to activate something. When they do, the lyrium in the cave starts to glow and a portal opens from the mosaic. Nadia declares whatever the Dreadwolf was doing here, he came here for this portal. So wherever it leads, that's where she needs to go. Well, if you go, I go, Drayden says. Davrin says he can't follow as his duty is with the wardens. The two say their goodbyes to Davrin and then leap through the portal together. And that was episode 3. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and I think this is my favorite episode so far. The music and the sound effects were so good, and I love the character interactions in this one. Drayden's obvious crush on Davrin is so funny and adorable. The way they rush to help Davrin after the battle and how they suddenly forget how words work when talking to him. Ugh, bless you, Drayden. And Nadia telling Herrick to go back to his mountain cave on his goat wife. I don't know. I don't know why, but that one was so funny to me. I basically almost screamed laughing when I heard that. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but I don't know. I think it's just because I wasn't expecting it. Like, it just caught me completely off guard. Oh, and I also really like Ollie. She was just so sweet and helpful. Poor girl didn't deserve her fate. All she did was help someone out by sharing a bit of information, and then she got munched by a bunch of giant spiders. Rip Ollie, you deserved better, girl. Nadia and Drayden's back and forth bickering was great as always. I'm really starting to like Drayden as a character, and I just want to know more about them. Like, why did they decide to study the Fate, and how much do they actually know? Also, I love the mental image of Drayden knocking out Herrick using just a very thick book. 10 out of 10. So about Nadia. I like her. I do. But I do hope we're going to see some character development for her. I know we're only like 3 episodes in, but Nadia is just so angry all the damn time. I get it. She's been through a lot and she is struggling with that. And getting dragged into Solus's scheme and your lover getting stuck in the Fade, well, that would make anyone grumpy. Having said that though, I would love to see another side of Nadia. I briefly touched upon this in the previous episode discussion, but Nadia's got a really short temper, so she's quick to get angry and often makes pretty reckless decisions. That's fine, but too much of that can get annoying. It's already good that we've seen Nadia isn't as good at things as she thinks she is. She actually messes up things quite a lot, but I would like to see her learn from that. Maybe show us a bit of her softer side. Give us a moment with her where she's not so on edge. My hope is that her friendship with Drayden will allow her to let down her guard a little bit, and that she starts to think about the consequences that her reckless actions might have on the people around her. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Speaking of Nadia, the intense ringing in her mind seems to be a recurring thing. I was trying to think of whether I can notice if there is something that triggers it, or if there's some sort of pattern to it, but so far I haven't been able to come up with anything, so I'm just going to put a pin in this for now. If any of you have any theories though, do share. So, a few neat little details. 1. We have a new dish called Nordbotten Fruit Stew. 2. We have confirmation that this takes place before Davrin meets Asan, since Davrin mentions griffins are supposed to be extinct. 3. Genitivi mention. Nice. And 4. We have a new herb called snail root, which people use to, quote, get through the long days. It numbs the brain, slows everything down, and it helps block out pain. So snail root's a drug? Okay, no, I get it. So you remember this little town in Ferelden called Redcliffe? Well, forget about that one, cause now we have its way cooler older cousin, Radcliffe. Seriously though, why would you introduce a new town and give it a name so similar to a very important place from the... You know what? Never mind. Moving on. Another fun little detail is Drayden's mention of a Gruntsman.
There. The crumbling face protruding from that cliff. It's the statue of the Green Guardian marked on her map. We're close.
Such a sight. The way it juts right from the stone, like Gruntsman himself is trying to break free from time's prison.
So there is an item in Inquisition called Gruntsman's Bow, and its description reads, the Anderfels' Green Man warriors began with a hunter of the Murdain, Gruntsman, who famously saved the people of Hosberg from starvation by crossing Darkspawn lines in the First Light. The order, begun in his name, leads caravans through the dangerous wandering hills to the distant port of Leish, and comprise the best marksmen in Thedas. So, the Green Guardian must be a statue depicting Gruntsman or something that was made in his honor. Right, so about the part with the mosaic. The mosaic depicts upside-down wolf statues and figures pointing at the stars in the sky, with the top half being made of onyx in which you can see your reflection, and the bottom half being the actual portrait. I really wish we had a visual for this, as it sounds like a beautiful mosaic, and if I had more time on my hands, I would attempt to draw it myself. But alas. So, I must admit, I was a bit lost at how they were able to figure out what to press. All we got was, the stars are the clue, and then we press these tiles, and I'm like, what tiles? The tiles of the mosaic? The most logical explanation that I can come up with is that each of the stars depicted on the image are on its own tile, and the figures are pointing at each of the pressable tiles. Maybe Drayden noticed some of those tiles sticking out just a bit more compared to the others, which is how they figured out which ones to press? But then, what's the top half for? Why is it specifically described like a... Oh. Alright. Okay. Alright. I think I get it. So activating the mosaic opens up a what's described as a portal. But we've never actually encountered portals in Dragon Age before, apart from the weird Veil Tears and Awakening, I guess. But portals aren't really a thing. At least are not supposed to. And the closest thing we have to a portal is an alluvion. That's why the top half of the mosaic is made of onyx and reflects like a mirror. This is where the energy fissure opens up, like it would when activating an alluvion. This took me way too long to realize. Apparently Davrin knows how to read Ancient Elven. Cool. Guide me on the path that splits the land between sun and moon. That is what the inscription near the mosaic says. This could be interpreted in a bunch of different ways. It could serve as a metaphor for the choice that one has to make when activating the mosaic. The portal or the tunnel. The path that splits the land could also possibly refer to the Veil or its creation, which literally split the land in two. The land of mortals and spirits, now two separate places. The waking world and the realm of dreams. The real world and the fade. The sun and the moon. If I'm allowed to put on my tinfoil hat here, the sun and the moon could also allude to Elgurnan and possibly Mythal. According to Elven legend, Elgurnan was born when the sun touched the land, and Mythal was the one that created the moon. So, there is that connection. I'm probably overthinking it, but it's fun to think about either way. That's all I have to say on this episode, but there is something in the preview that I wanted to talk about real quick. So, the next episode features Balara and takes place in the Arlathan Forest. And at the very end of the preview, we hear this voice.
And just where do you think you're going?
And guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this sounds like Solus a little bit. Obviously, there's multiple voices layered over each other, so it's very hard to hear, but I think one of those voices is Solus. It's the accent, I think, but specifically like the rhythm in which he speaks. To me, the way the voice speaks here sounds a lot like the way Solus speaks to Varric at the ritual site in the opening hours of the game. Here, let me compare the clips.
The veil is a wound inflicted upon this world. It must be healed.
And just where do you think you're going?
Now, the voice from the preview obviously isn't a normal voice, but rather something you would hear from a demon. So I don't think this is actually Sola speaking, but I do have a theory as to who I do think this is. A few seconds before we hear this voice in the preview, we hear Nadia.
So sorry. I should have just said yes that morning. I should have never left or taken that job. I was just afraid.
She sounds afraid and like she's in distress, saying she should have just said yes that morning. She shouldn't have taken that job. So these are things she regrets in this moment. And if you've read The Winter Nights, you might see where I'm going with this. My theory is that this is a regret demon. See, the Winter Nights story callback introduces us to a regret demon, a demon drawn to people's regrets. So I'm thinking, since they are tracking down Solus, who has a lot of regrets, in the Arlathan Forest, a place where the veil is very wonky, Nadia yelling very loudly about the things she regrets might attract a regret demon or two. Regret is going to be one of the main themes in Veilguard, so I wouldn't be surprised if they bring it up here. Plus, I think regret having Solus's voice would be very fitting, as the regret demon from The Winter Nights originated from Solus's unfinished mural in the Skyhold Rotunda. But yeah, these are my thoughts. Definitely let me know what you think. Am I crazy for hearing Solus in the last voice? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, let me know by liking this video. Or leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on the latest episode. Who is your favorite character so far? If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss a single one of my videos. Or join my Patreon. If you want to have a chat sometime, feel free to join my Discord server. The link is in the description. That's it for now though. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.